It's the biggest night of the year in Hollywood as Oscar steps into the spotlight for the 29th time. And at the Pantages Theater, just about everybody who's anybody in the film world is on hand for the annual Academy Awards presentation ceremony.
Hollywood has always been a dream factory, but behind the camera and beyond the glitz, it's also been a battleground. In the mid-20th century, one woman stood at the intersection of gossip and government, of velvet gowns and velvet-gloved censorship. Her name was Hedda Hopper, and in this episode, we'll explore the life of a woman who wore hats that could turn heads and wielded a pen that could end careers. Born Elda Furry in 1885 in Altoona, Pennsylvania, she reinvented herself early and often. Starting out in stage productions, she married silent film star DeWolf Hopper, who was 27 years her senior, in 1913. He introduced her to the budding world of cinema. She also renamed herself Hedda, since her husband's 4 previous wives were named Ella, Ida, Edna, and Nella, and he frequently called Elda by the wrong name. In the 1910s and 20s, Hedda had carved out a niche in silent films. Her most significant film was Louis B. Mayer's Virtuous Wives in 1918, which began her succession of roles as society women.
Look, Rhoda Philbrook. Hello, Carrie.
She was no superstar, but she was visible, and when the talkies came, she didn't resist the future. She rebranded. By the mid-1930s, with her career on the decline and marriage over, Hedda agreed to write a weekly Hollywood gossip column for the Washington Herald, and by 1938, she launched her syndicated column, Hedda Hopper's Hollywood, in the Los Angeles Times. Her first major scoop that was printed was about FDR's son James, an MGM employee, who was divorcing his wife after having an affair with his nurse. Overnight, she transformed from a supporting actress into one of the most powerful voices in the industry. Stars trembled. Studios took note. She wasn't just Hollywood's watchdog. She was its judge, jury, and cultural enforcer. Her columns were full of the usual tinsel: romances, divorces, casting scoops. But Hopper was different from her rival Luella Parsons. Hopper had an agenda. Thanks to the moral turpitude clause baked into every star's contract, allowing studios to fire actors for any so-called misbehavior, Luella and Hedda became powerful tools for the studio bosses. Their columns weren't just gossip, they were warnings, intimidation tactics to keep the stars in line. But Hedda didn't just want to report Hollywood's secrets, she wanted to clean up Hollywood. A proud conservative and die-hard Republican, Hopper believed Hollywood was under threat, from liberalism, atheism, modernism, and above all, communism. Her typewriter became a weapon in a moral and political war. In 1944, Franklin D. Roosevelt sought an unprecedented 4th term. While most of Hollywood leaned left, supporting FDR and the New Deal, Hopper broke ranks. She threw her support behind the Republican candidate, New York Governor Thomas Dewey, attacking Roosevelt in her column and encouraging her readers, actors, and studio heads to do the same. She spoke at a massive rally at the Los Angeles Coliseum for Dewey that drew 93,000 attendees, with Cecil B. DeMille as MC.
These things we pledge to you, an administration in which you will not have to support 3 men to do 1 man's job. An administration which will root out waste and bring order out of present chaos. An administration which will give the people of this country value received for the taxes they all pay. An administration free from the influence of communists and the domination of corrupt big city machines.
It wasn't just about politics anymore, it was ideology, and Hopper would soon have allies. In 1944, the same year as that heated election, Hopper became one of the most prominent supporters of a new organization, the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals. It was formed by actors, writers, and directors who feared Hollywood was being infiltrated by leftists. Their stated mission was defending the film industry and the country as a whole against what its founders claimed was communist and fascist infiltration. Its members included Walt Disney, John Wayne, Gary Cooper, Ginger Rogers, and Barbara Stanwyck.
This is the house that Hedda built, and here she is at home for a bit of relaxation.
With a readership of 35 million, Hopper wielded her gossip column like a weapon. She didn't just report on Hollywood, she helped shape it. And if she suspected someone of being a communist, having leftist leanings, being gay, or simply living what she saw as a morally questionable life, she had the power to end their career with a few strokes of her pen. She didn't whisper suspicions, she shouted them. And Hollywood, ever conscious of reputation, listened.
You are here before the Committee on Un-American Activities in response to a subpoena.
In 1947, the House Un-American Activities Committee, known as HUAC, turned its spotlight on Hollywood. They believed the film industry was being used as a propaganda tool for communism. Hopper couldn't have agreed more. She covered the hearings obsessively and gleefully. When 10 writers and directors, known as the Hollywood 10, refused to testify, citing their First Amendment rights, Hopper branded them as traitors. She supported their blacklisting and imprisonment. And her influence didn't stop at her column. She worked the phones, pressured studios, and lobbied executives. If she said someone was a communist, whether they were or not, their career could be over by morning. For decades, Charlie Chaplin was one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood, a genius of silent film, a comic icon, a global star. But by the late 1940s, the mood in America had changed, and Chaplin, foreign-born, politically outspoken, and fiercely independent, was in Hedda Hopper's crosshairs. She didn't just report on Chaplin, she attacked him. She accused Chaplin of being a communist sympathizer, condemned his refusal to become a U.S. citizen, and claimed his films spread dangerous anti-American ideas. And it wasn't just politics. Hopper smeared Chaplin's personal life, his relationships with younger women, his liberal views, his outsider status. She called for boycotts of his films, stirred up the public against him, and joined a chorus of right-wing voices who saw Chaplin not as a comedian, but as a threat. In 1952, while Chaplin was en route to London for the premiere of his film Limelight, the U.S. government revoked his re-entry visa. Hopper celebrated the moment. To her, it was a victory. America, she said, had finally cleaned house. He was the snarling kingpin of Little Caesar, the suspicious insurance boss in Double Indemnity, the menacing mobster in Key Largo. Edward G. Robinson wasn't just a movie star. He was a Hollywood institution. But behind the tough guy roles was a man of principle, a liberal, an activist, and in post-war America, that was enough to make him a target. And no one made a target out of someone like Hedda Hopper. Robinson supported anti-fascist and civil rights groups throughout the 30s and 40s, groups that were later branded red by HUAC. He never joined the Communist Party, but Hopper didn't need proof. The studios took the hint. Robinson wasn't blacklisted, but he was what they called gray-listed. Leading roles dried up, offers slowed, his name became a liability. Desperate to reclaim his career, Robinson testified before HUAC in 1950 and again in 1952. He named names, not as communists, but as fellow liberals. It was a compromise he'd regret. Hopper didn't let up. She mocked his testimony, questioned his sincerity, and made sure his rehabilitation stayed out of reach. Robinson continued to work, but never as he once had. No more complex anti-heroes, just character roles, aging wise men, supporting parts. 2 months after his death in 1973, the Academy gave him an honorary Oscar. It was a quiet recognition of a career nearly undone by fear, politics, and the power of a pen. Before he became a target of the Red Scare, Dalton Trumbo was already one of the most celebrated screenwriters in Hollywood. He wrote gripping war dramas, sharp social commentaries, and heartfelt human stories. His screenplay for Kitty Foyle helped Ginger Rogers win her Oscar. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo was hailed as a patriotic masterpiece during World War II. By the mid-1940s, Trumbo was one of the highest-paid screenwriters in the business, a powerhouse of talent and political conviction, but also a member of the Communist Party. In 1947, Trumbo was called before HUAC and refused to testify about his political beliefs. He cited the First Amendment and paid the price.
Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
Chairman, first I should like to know whether the quality of my last answer was acceptable, since I am still on the stand.
This had nothing to do with your last answer, the last question. This is a new question
I
now.
see. Mr. Stribling, you must have some reason for asking me this question.
Hopper wielded her column like a sword. With millions of readers and deep ties to conservative power players, Hopper launched a campaign to drive him, and others like him, out of the industry. Trumbo was blacklisted. For over a decade, he couldn't work under his own name, but Hopper kept the pressure on, urging studios to hold the line, and branding any dissenters as traitors. And yet, Trumbo fought back. Writing under pseudonyms, he won an Academy Award for Roman Holiday in 1953, though the credit went to a front, Ian McClellan Hunter. In 1956, he won again, for The Brave One, using the name Robert Rich. The Academy didn't even know he was the writer. In 1960, the dam broke. Trumbo was hired by Kirk Douglas to write Spartacus under his own name. Hopper derided the film in her column, stating that the script, quote, was written by a commie, so don't go see it. Despite her efforts, the film was a huge success, and it helped break the blacklist for good. As anti-communist sentiment gripped the nation, Hopper formed a close collaboration with J. Edgar Hoover and his FBI. Armed with insider knowledge, she became an informant, feeding Hoover intelligence about the political leanings of Hollywood's biggest stars. As part of her collaboration, Hopper helped the FBI build dossiers on countless industry figures, from screenwriters to directors to actors. She was a central figure in the blacklisting of the era, even as she remained publicly untouchable. To Hopper, it was all about patriotism. To her, the FBI was a safeguard, protecting America from dangerous ideas. But in truth, she was part of a much darker operation. A campaign that led to ruined careers, lives in exile, and reputations tarnished beyond repair. By the 1960s, the studio system was dying. The blacklist was unraveling. Hopper kept writing, but the world was moving on. She criticized the counterculture, attacked the sexual revolution, and warned against civil rights radicalism. But her voice was fading. She died in 1966, still convinced that she had done the right thing.
Good night. I'll be seeing you again soon, I hope, in Hedda Hopper's Hollywood.
Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.